If you believe they're advertising, a VPN is an essential part of being safe from hackers on the internet. How much of this is actually true, and how much is just marketing spin? This week, we're taking a break from the stories with an explainer on VPNs, what they do, what they don't do, if they really keep you safe, whether they're a scam, and why everyone seems to be talking about them this week. Welcome to the podcast that keeps you safe from scams, hacks, and frauds. Please help us by liking, sharing, and reviewing this podcast. It really does help us get the message out there so we can help protect more people from scams, hacks, and frauds. And you can always find all of our shows on scamshacksandfrauds.com. Let's start by looking at exactly what a VPN is. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. There are two types of VPN that you're likely to encounter. The first is the type advertised widely online, which claims to protect your internet connection and lets you access more content on streaming services. The second is used for remote work. This kind allows your computer to securely connect to your company's internal network as if you're in the office by creating a private connection over the internet. Imagine the internet as a giant spider's web, with your internet provider on the left and the websites that you use scattered around. When you access something, your requests travel through different strands until they reach their destination. A reply with the information you wanted is sent back in a similar way. The path may vary, shaped by traffic, cost, and speed. With a VPN, your request is first encrypted and then sent to your VPN provider, before crossing the rest of the internet. On its way back, it returns through the VPN, is encrypted, and your computer decrypts it. The encrypted link is often called the tunnel. Not a true direct line, but a protected path through various internet routes. If you're using the VPN for work, this ensures that you and your employer are safely sharing files. But if you're accessing something else on the internet, to those sites it looks like you're accessing them in your work's office. If you're using the other type of VPN, then you'll probably have a choice of locations to appear to be in. VPN providers will tell you this helps keep you safe. For example, NordVPN claims to protect your data from marketers and government agencies. Surfshark says it prevents tracking by masking your IP address. An IP address is a unique number assigned to your device on the internet, like a digital home address. Using a VPN makes it appear as if your IP address is actually that of your VPN provider. If you're accessing websites without a VPN, your internet provider can potentially see the site you're accessing, and if it's not a secure encrypted site, they may be able to see its contents. And there have been times when ISPs have sold your browsing data, although in some places, such as in the UK and EU, this can only happen with your consent because of data protection laws. Whether or not you're worried about your ISP doing that is really up to you. One place where this is particularly important is when you're using public Wi-Fi, or what you think is public Wi-Fi. The provider of that connection could also be spying on your browsing. If that Wi-Fi connection is actually fake, then the VPN could be stopping someone more dangerous from getting your personal information. However, it's important to remember that when you're using most sites that require a login, the site itself will be encrypting your data. So things like usernames and passwords should be safe, but it's important to double check the site really is secure before putting in your details. However, VPNs don't really solve these potential problems. They move them. Your VPN provider, or workplace, could still be monitoring what you're sending through the VPN. And your work probably is monitoring this to make sure your browsing complies with their rules when you're connected through them. So you have to be sure whatever VPN you're choosing to use isn't doing this. Additionally, you might be exchanging local laws that are quite strong for data protection, like GDPR, with those of another country, such as the US, where these are weaker or non-existent. Some VPNs, like VPN, have actively admitted to selling customer data, whilst others might hide it in the small print or simply not tell you and hope not to get caught. And in 2017, a complaint was filed with the US's Federal Trade Commission alleging that Hotshot VPN was injecting additional advertisements into the websites its users were accessing. What about TV shows, movies, and websites that you might not ordinarily be able to access? This is the reason we're discussing this now. The UK has seen new laws come into place that require users of adult sites to verify their identity to prove they are over age, and Australia has implemented restrictions on social media use, including YouTube, for children. Reports suggest that the UK has seen an uptick in VPN usage as a result of this legislation, and many sites block users from the EU and the UK because they don't want to comply with GDPR rules. VPNs are also advertised as a way to get around country restrictions, such as using internet voice calling or messaging apps in certain Middle Eastern countries, or evading content restrictions in China and Russia. Yes, VPNs can do this. However, some countries and content providers actively work to block VPNs. Even on their website, Surfshark advises they cannot guarantee flawless access at all times, and that their system needs to be set up before entering China. Although VPN apps are not illegal in China, as they're needed for business, they are not permitted in local app stores. A handful of countries, however, ban VPNs completely, and accessing banned content can still result in arrest, even if using a VPN. If you're using a VPN to get around a requirement to verify your identity, like in the UK, then a VPN will probably do this, as long as your connection is going through a country that doesn't have similar restrictions. However, you may actually be making yourself less safe by replacing an ID checking system that follows data protection rules with a VPN provider that might not. What about streaming sites? Streaming sites frequently offer different shows and movies in different countries. The reason for this is they often only purchase the rights to show a program in certain countries, or they have a co-production partner who has the rights in their home region. So a VPN can unlock different content, and there are websites dedicated to cataloguing what's available in what country, so you can adjust your VPN to find what you're looking for. However, this isn't guaranteed to work. When a site doesn't have the right to stream everything it has everywhere, it does have an obligation to try to block this access. You might find that you're not always able to access what you want, or have to adjust your location a few times to find a path that's not blacklisted. Can you get cheaper prices with a VPN? Sometimes yes. Looking at online sites, we can see some people do often report finding digital products and subscriptions cheaper, saving money by avoiding local sales taxes. Some users report online payment systems block VPNs, but on big-ticket items like travel, despite travel bloggers advertising VPNs and suggesting it's a viable option, sites like PCMag were unable to replicate these savings when they tested these claims. Lastly, some VPNs promise to protect you when gaming by stopping online cheaters from attacking your connection, which can be slowed down through a denial of service attack. While a VPN does make it easy to change the location your connection is through to thwart this attack, it will also slightly slow down your connection by creating a diversion, even if you're not being attacked. Additionally, if the VPN is congested, it may slow things further. Unless you're a particularly prominent player, it's questionable as to how likely these attacks are to happen. So do we recommend using VPNs? There are situations where they are useful. If you run a business with remote workers, VPNs are crucial for protecting your data, and you almost certainly should be using one. For individuals, VPNs may be worth using when traveling. Is there any harm to using them? Possibly. You should choose your VPN carefully to make sure it keeps its promises about protecting your data. Check trusted, independent reviews to verify a company's reputation and performance. Next week, we have a story involving extensive VPN usage, centered around remote workers in a case so unusual, if not for court documents confirming the facts, it might seem unbelievable. Until then, I've been C, and this has been the podcast that keeps you safe from scams, hacks, and frauds. This podcast is available to reuse for free under the Creative Commons with Attribution Share Alike license. The music is not included in this license. For more information on the Creative Commons license, please visit creativecommons.org.